Teenagers from around the United States recently competed here in Washington in a world-renowned science competition. The young scientists have made some real headway into fields as varied as alternative energy, cancer detection, and invasive species.
VOA correspondent Suzanne Presto caught up with a young woman who won the $100,000 prize, and I caught up with Suzanne to learn more about the contest. Check it out.
With that, Sarah VOLZ accepted the top prize in the 2013 Intel Science Talent Search and a $100,000 award for her alternative energy research. VOA caught up with the 17-year-old at the Intel Science Festival days before her big win, when her eye-catching accessory wasn't a first-place medal, but earrings that spelled out nerdy.
Well, one of the elements that I found so fascinating about Sarah is the fact that she does not have regular access to a laboratory, but that did not stop her at all from pursuing the research that she's pursuing. So she basically built a loft bed, so she sleeps a mattress on top, and she's got her laboratory underneath. She has her centrifuge, she has her microscope, she has all of her algae samples there underneath her bed, and she actually sleeps according to the light-dark cycles that she has to keep the algae on.
I'm trying to use guided evolution, artificial selection, focusing on a population of algae and trying to make the algae evolve to produce more oil. So the way I'm doing that is I'm using a chemical, it's actually an herbicide, that kills algae if they don't produce enough oil.
Well, she's looking to create biofuels that are economically feasible. So algae can grow anywhere. It can grow in salt water, it can grow in arid areas. It can be anywhere, but it doesn't really produce enough oil to make it financially feasible for this to be a new source of biofuel. So she is basically torturing the algae, is the best way that I can think to put it. So if you put it with an herbicide that's going to kill it, if it doesn't produce a lot of oil, it will produce more oil. And then as the generations go on, only the strong survive. The oil producers keep producing. And even generations down the line, they're still producing more oil. So ultimately, it's a cheap source of biofuel if they can get it working at a level where it's producing enough. So this is the research that she's looking into, and again, looking at this research underneath her bed.
This science competition has provided an outlet for this kind of hands-on research for more than 70 years, says Wendy Hawkins, executive director of the Intel Foundation.
It's very rare that students have the opportunity to do more in a science class than memorize formulas, do some cookie-cutter experiments.
The young scientists inspire U.S. Secretary of Education Arne Duncan.
They've had this amazing exposure and opportunity to find their passion and to make a real difference, I think, not just in our country, but potentially across the globe.
They're really kids. I mean, they're teenagers, and they're developing such incredible advancements in science. We featured actually a person recently, Jack Andreka, who discovered this pancreatic cancer test that could really change the future of cancer medicine. What's the level of camaraderie among these kids who are working, all of them on these new developments?
It's a shockingly high level of camaraderie. You might think that there'd be some backstabbing or bickering or anything like that. I didn't see anything of the sort among the 40 students that were at the exhibition when I was there. And I had a sort of a funny moment where I was speaking to Brittany Wenger, who did cancer research, and she placed in the top 10. And so a boy came up to her and gave her a big hug, and they were saying goodbye to each other and like, oh, I'm not going to see you in a while, and they were so excited to see one another. And as he was walking away, I said, is that Jack Andreka? And she said, yeah, it is. It was so great to be able to see him, and he has to leave now. So there's a great level of camaraderie. And one of the things that Brittany had said to me was so interesting is that it's not often you get a bunch of 17 and 18-year-olds together discussing quantum physics, cancer research. So an exhibition like this is a great opportunity for these young minds to come together and sort of bounce ideas off each other and to talk about these topics that you don't often hear talked about in, let's say, high school hallways.
Wow, yeah, which is such an incredible aspect of the story. You also asked a few of the kids what their advice might be for others who are interested in science. What did they share with you?
Oh, these were such fascinating kids, I have to tell you. One of the elements that I liked is they were so positive about the work that they're doing. And if you're doing research and you don't get the result that you're looking for, well, that just adds to the body of knowledge. Now you know what doesn't work, and you can pursue a different avenue, and you're still adding to the great body of knowledge that's out there.
So mistakes are okay?
Mistakes are more than okay. Mistakes are learning opportunities, and then you apply that to your next experiment, and then you figure out something new. So mistakes are great.